Okay, so we are back with the third aspect of innovative pedagogy, that is skills and competencies. I think none of us has any doubt at all that what we teach in the classrooms to our students is in no way connected to any of the future jobs that they may be looking at. There is a huge gap between what we teach in class, the theoretical information that is imparted to them, and what is required of them when they go out into the job scenario. So, what exactly do we need to do to make our students ready to be able to participate or take up a job once they leave our classrooms? One very important aspect is that we need to integrate career readiness into the classrooms. To think that they will learn something else, and then when they go out, they should be able to fit into the job that is given to them without having any background into that job is really asking too much of the student. So it's important that we start making our students career ready. That is, we teach them along with the curriculum that we are supposed to be teaching, or rather as a part of the curriculum that we are teaching them, the applicability of that information in the outside world. The important aspect is also to remember that all students are not 90 percenters and above. That forms only a very small section of our classroom. There are lots and lots of students who do not fall in the traditional category. That is, they don't achieve 90% in school and another 90% or 80% in college, and they go on into getting jobs almost immediately the moment they leave the institution. There are very few of those kind of students. Most of the students are those who have not been able to score so high, not because they are not intelligent, but because probably they may not be academically oriented. And these students also need a job when they go out. So what are we doing to help these students get jobs once they go out of the college? That is the reason why it is important for us to help them to develop career related competencies. What are the things that they would require more than just the theoretical input that we are giving them when they go out into the world and look for jobs? And another one very important aspect, I think we are living, it has both its pros and cons. We have a lot more options available in the job scenario as compared to the earlier years. Yes, it works well for a lot of students, because yes, we are talking about those students who may not fit into the regular job of going into engineering or medicine or law or something like that. So it is good for them that there are other non-traditional jobs which are also available. But along with that, we also need to remember that this huge array of choices that the students are getting is also making them very confused. So if we can, we should be able to help them see what are their competencies, help them to develop more competencies, and help them to select what is going to be the job which is going to be most suited for them. There are four pillars of competency. The first one is the competency learning and development. Second is competency development and career. The third aspect is the current events and the world scenario, what is happening around us. And fourthly, the periodic assessment of the competencies of these students. Let us look at each one of these a little bit more in detail. So when we talk about competency learning and development, we need to realize that competency development and competency learning is so important for the person that we need to make it a part of the college curriculum. Then the readiness of the student for a job when he or she leaves the institutions of higher learning should become the mission of the higher institutions, so that when the child goes out, he should not feel at sea that now what am I supposed to do. That person should be able to look for a job and make a living for himself and his family. I think nothing in the world has told us how important the world scenario is than the incidents which are happening recently. The COVID that has happened, the pandemic that has happened, has told us that the world is really a global village and all of us are interconnected. So just like the way we have got interconnected as far as the illness or the disease is concerned, I think we need to remember that we are a part of the bigger world, and when the student goes out, he or she should be able to understand what is the writing on the wall and decide on the careers accordingly. Then it's very important that we don't just assess them on the academic things that they have been learning, that they have to learn anyways as part of the learning process that they have, but also to assess and give them a feedback on how and where they stand as far as the competencies, skills and competencies for making a career for themselves is also concerned. So let's look at how do we define competency. Basically, if we say the competency, it can be understood as the behavior of the individual or the knowledge and the skills of the individual that the student uh, at the end of the course, what has he learned, what are the behaviors, what are the skills, what is the knowledge that the person has come out with. And this is important, that they should have applied skills and knowledge that enable the person to successfully perform professional, educational, social, community related responsibilities. So we are talking about competencies, but when we started the topic, we said skills and competencies. So are these the same term or are they different? I think we need to understand that the two of them are different. Skills is different, competency is different. How are they different? Skills are related to a specific task, how well I can do something, how well, say for example, the person who is a car mechanic, how good he is at detecting and making the repairs of a car. So that is a skill. But competency is more broad in its implications. It involves or it contains the skill, that skill is a part of the competencies that we are referring to. Along with skills, the competency also includes knowledge and abilities. So competency is a combination of these three components, and out of these three components, one component is skill. And what is it that the outcome that we are expecting? There is a very specific outcome of the skills and competencies that we are imparting. Skill is, of course, very easy to measure, what they started with before the course and what they have achieved at the end of the course. Skill is very easy to assess, but competency is a little bit more difficult to measure, and we have to actually define the parameters of what exactly we are looking for when we are saying we are going to assess the students for competencies. So let us look at what are those competencies. What are we saying in addition to skills? What is it that is required of the student to do well in the outside world? So here we can see that there are 12 core competencies. The first and foremost of them being teamwork. Teamwork is something that is required in almost every job. How well you get along with your colleagues, how well you are able to do a task which is given to all of you. So if there are 5 people on a team, how does that job get distributed? Is the leader, a team leader, able to take into account everybody's capabilities, or he just goes at a tangent on whatever he understands what the job needs? So to be a good team leader, you have to be able to understand how to work with a team. Communication, very important. We'll touch upon that later as well. Adaptability is something that is very, very important as far as being successful at any job is concerned. If you're not able to adapt in a particular environment, it's very difficult to carry on. You as a person, how reliable you are, whether you have integrity, you have rules, you have values, all that is a very important aspect. How motivated you are you the kinds who takes initiatives, are you the kinds who can make a decision making is something which we refer to in the earlier videos as well. Work standards, problem solving skills, stress tolerance, very important. How much of stress you're able to handle without getting upset and feel stressed in a particular situation. How good are your organizing skills? All these are core competencies that an individual must have when they go out looking for a job. There are others besides the teamwork and trustworthiness are the sense of responsibility, commercial awareness. Are you aware of what is happening around you in the market, in the job scenario, in other areas, decision, communication, leadership, result orientation. How much are you dependable as far as getting results is concerned? And getting results by keeping the team together, not on that only focuses on the results and the team members are not given any consideration. Problem solving, organization skills, these are all very important components. So like I had said that we will discuss a few things later on as well. So one of the very, very important components of the competencies that the person must have is communication. Communication, as we all know, is between people. It can be written, verbal or non-verbal, written in the forms of letters or mails, and the verbal is, of course, communicating one-on-one or even one person, team leader to a team. And non-verbal is the non-verbal cues that we give, which may or may not evoke confidence in the other person. So what are these skills that whether I'm able to write a mail very effectively stating what exactly I want, or I write a huge mail and it finally the person is unable to understand what exactly it is that I'm looking for. So written skills are important, verbal skills, how I communicate, whether there is clarity in what I'm communicating or I'm being very verbose, but the main crux of the matter is not there. Non-verbal, like I said, is the what are the body cues that we are giving to the other people. And all these three things are very, very important as far as communication is concerned. Knowledge of languages. So what exactly do we mean by knowledge of languages? Languages, of course, we all know are means of communication, no doubt about it. The more languages you are able to speak, the more you'll be able to communicate on the world scenario. But besides that, the other languages that are important also now, because it's becoming more and more digital, are the languages which are of the computer, the technological languages that are there, how well you understand them, how well you're able to use them. This is something which we have been talking about since morning. Critical thinking and problem solving, very, very important. Whether the person is able to analyze and look at the problem, analyze it, is able to give a creative solution, is open-minded enough to be able to take information from others. All these are very, very important aspects when you want to work with other people. So what are the steps in critical thinking? There are 7 steps usually that we talk of. First, of course, is we gather information from different sources, bring together the information. Then we analyze that information. What is the information telling me? What is it giving me as whether I have been able to gather information about what I was looking for, or it is just a huge big chunk of information which is not making any sense at all. Have I looked in the right direction or not? Then how to apply that information. Then on the basis of that information, you formulate some kind of a plan of action. You look at the alternatives that are available, the different types of plans of action that you can have. You select the one which is you think is the best, and then you test whether your decision has been appropriate or not. Has it reached, have you been able to reach the conclusion that you were looking for? This is the problem solving loop. The first thing that you do is you identify the problem, then you explore the information related to that problem. You select one of what you think is the best idea out of the various different ideas that you have been able to create. You test out that idea to see whether what you have selected works or not. And how will we know whether it has worked or not? On the basis of the results, whether those results are the ones which are beneficial to me or not beneficial to me. So I have done something, but if it finally is detrimental to my progress, then it is not really the right decision. So, and another aspect that all bosses look for is the amount of initiative that a person shows and the amount of proactivity. Sorry. And the initiative and proactivity are two aspects, two competencies or two skills that the person will require is mostly if you're going to be taking on a leadership skill. You can't expect to be a leader if you are laid back and you don't take any initiative, you don't go for ahead and look for information. Whether you are not only information and problem solving, but also whether you are a good team leader, you are taking your team with you. Are you able to understand their issues and problems and challenges and not just focus on the problem? Then also it's important that we are proactive and not reactive. That is, proactive is when we take the action before the problem arises, and reactive is that we let the problem happen and then we decide what we want to do with it. So naturally, proactive means that you are pre-planned, you anticipate what is likely to happen as a problem, and you look for solutions before the problem can come right into your face. Also, it's important to realize when to take an initiative. If you are taking an initiative in a way that is putting down the other person, then nobody is likely to appreciate that. Sorry. The other important, like I said, that today we are living in a world which is very, very digital. So what are the kind of competencies related to digital fluency? One is that I'm wrong and I don't know that I'm wrong. So unconsciously, I'm incompetent because I have not learned the right skill, because nobody has made me aware that what I'm doing is incorrect. Then I know that I'm wrong, but I don't know how to rectify it. I don't know from where to get those skills, or I don't know from where to get that information. So I'm consciously incompetent. So both these are not the places to be in. So you have conscious competence, that is, okay, I realized where I'm wrong and I have made the effort to take that information and make the changes in my competence or skill or behavior. So in that case, you talk about conscious competence, but the highest is the unconscious competence. That is, the competence has become so much a part of you that you, even with your eyes closed, you will probably make the right decision. So that is the place you would like to be in. Though of course you can't reach unconscious competence till you have conscious competence, because unless you consciously make changes in your behavior, it cannot become part of your unconscious behavior. Teamwork, like I said, is very, very important, because every place the student will be expected to work with a team. There will be hardly too many any places unless they are at a higher level. So when the person joins, he is not going to join at the higher level where he would work individually. At the lower levels, he will have to start with, or she will have to start with, being a team member. And how you deal with your team members, how you deal with your colleagues is a very, very important aspect if you want to aspire to getting to higher places. Emotional intelligence. This is a very often repeated a word and all of us are aware that emotional intelligence is a very, very important component. Emotional intelligence tells us how good we are at our social skills. Self-regulation, that is, do I get angry at the drop of a hat, or I'm able to take charge of my behavior and deal more responsibly. How motivated I am, how much empathy I have for the others, whether I'm able to understand the other people who are there in my office or not. And for all these aspects, self-awareness is the most important. So I cannot know whether I am motivated or self-regulated or I have enough social skills unless I am aware about my own self. So one thing which we need to remember is that intelligence, or IQ as we call it, is great to get us the job, but we cannot keep the job if we do not have high emotional intelligence. So getting a job, yes, you need high IQ, but to keep the job, you need high EQ or EI or emotional intelligence. I don't think anyone can have any doubts about this aspect. Character, ethics, and values, very, very important for the individual to give that confidence to the other people that yes, what I'm doing is correct, and I will not do what is incorrect. So the person's character, the ethics and the values that the person carries with him are part of the individual's personality, and they have a great impact as far as communication is concerned. So how do we develop these skills? We have now seen that there are so many skills or so many competencies that the person must have. So now how do we develop them? How is this person, how is our student going to go in the world with all these competencies and skills? The like what I had said earlier also, important component to education is the competency building, and we need to help our students to advance their skills or master these skills of competencies uh, at their own pace. We had already talked about the importance of letting the student develop at his or her own pace. So each person comes with a different set of competencies, different set of skills. So each individual, each student requires a different kind of support or scaffolding that needs to develop them further. And also we have already seen that the students come with different learning abilities, and naturally those who are coming with different learning abilities will also need different kind of support. When we talk of professional development, then the learning is only one component. So then we help the student to develop by mentoring them. Then we give them ideas, tips, information about how they need to develop. And this, after the mentoring, we give them the opportunity to practice those skills. Then they not only practice, then improve them. Improvement could be directly through behavior, or it could also be with study material. Help the student to reflect upon what are the person's where the person has reached right now, what are the person's skills that he or she has been able to develop, and what are the areas that still need to be worked upon. And then those areas which still need to be worked upon will again start with the cycle of learning. So in this way, we can help our students if we give them that opportunity to develop in our higher education institutions. It would be wonderful for the students, because then they will come out of the school or the college in well aware of what exactly is required for them in the world scenario, and they'll be able to fit into the jobs much more easily. So if we have done with them these four things, that we've helped them to learn, we have helped them to explore, we have taught them to think actively, and we have taught them to communicate well with themselves, intra-psychic as well as outside, I think we have done our jobs as teachers, and we have helped the student, and the kind of education that we'll impart to them will be something that will empower them to grow in their life. So with this, I would like to bring to end this aspect of competencies and skills, and the last aspect of assessment I will do after in a short while. Thank you.